Welcome to SourceIT and Sourcing in the Digital Age. My name is Ola Chowning. I'm a partner and a digital fellow at ISG. Today what I want to talk about is cost optimization in an agile age. Many organizations are moving into agility using techniques such as DevOps to generate the amount of velocity that they need to respond to the marketplace as quickly as they can. That velocity has some core tenets that most organizations try to drive. Those begin with putting the customer at the heart of decision making and making customer centricity the real hallmark of what we're trying to do within capabilities and technology. That includes working directly with our business and having the business stakeholders directly involved in how we prioritize the work that we need to do within the technology space, particularly as those things are used by end customers and consumers. We're using much smaller cross-functional teams, empowered teams that can create their own priorities, that can conduct their own work without having to go through too much decision-making external to the team. We're embracing open innovation, using test and learn methods so that we can test smaller, less bells and whistles capabilities with our customers and our consumers, make sure that those are viable before we actually expand them into maybe across our entire marketplace or within our capabilities. We're using lots of automation, lots of emerging tech to accelerate our capabilities to be able to speed up what is already starting to be high velocity as we use these smaller empowered teams. We're also recognizing that the funding of capabilities themselves is being done in more of an agile manner. And that's around managing funds as a portfolio of investments rather than in a project-oriented way. We're expecting constant shifts in the amount of investment that we make within our technology capabilities. And this means that we need to be prepared for those constant shifts, even in how we fund. We've got to measure and track our business value. That business value is really at the heart of what we're obviously doing. So we want to go fast, but we want that speed to be related to the value that we're creating. And one of the, of course, intentions of that agility and that speed to market is to do so in a way that actually does create value. We're enabling decision-making through investments in analytics and our ability to get continual feedback loops, particularly from inside of those technology products, so that we're able to unlock data access both for ourselves and for our business customers, so that we can see that those things that we're placing into our technology products is actually working within the environment, and we can get that feedback relatively quickly. Overall, it's about thinking very big, but starting small and scaling fast. So the iterative nature of what we're trying to do as we're generating this agility within our organizations is the core of the benefit that we're driving. But doesn't that cost a lot? A lot of organizations are asking. Smaller teams, gee, that sounds like more cost, not less cost. If we're driving analytics into our decision making, well, those sound like tools. They sound like more investment I need to make. If we're talking about automation and DevOps and CI/CD, where do I get the funding for that level of spend? A lot of organizations are starting to ask questions about, is agility really worth it? And in this day and age where I'm trying to optimize my costs, what can Agile really do to help me in that endeavor? And part of that value proposition, of course, is to look at the return on investment for agility. Many organizations are looking at the entire cycle of agility and determining that it's actually very worthwhile. If you really look at the value proposition of the individual tenets of agility and what it really does for us. Faster speed to market, of course, means faster speed to revenue. And it's so in a lot of organizations, particularly where we're seeing an iteration that happens with the market, we're seeing some really fast returns on those investments because my speed to revenue is far more quickly achieved. Those predictive analytics and automation that's happening, particularly in an operational sense, those are driving down the cost of downtime. It's lowering my cost of rework. Those are the sorts of things that are really driving this need to have automation. It's also creating uninterrupted service, which of course our customers love. And so it's driving customer satisfaction on top of that. Not only do I have speed to restore or repair when something does go wrong, but I've got a much higher quality because I'm using extreme automation in my quality area. So I'm doing automated testing. I'm testing things before they're established in the environment. And if they do cause problems in the environment, architecturally, I have a much more capability to pull those back out again before I impact any more customers than I need to. I'm also lowering the cost of capabilities overall, particularly backbone capabilities, those things that are constant. You could think of them as commodity-based. Those commodity-based capabilities is not where I want to spend my money. I want to spend my money in those things that are really generating business value or generating revenue. And so I need those things that are more commoditized to be as efficient and effective as they possibly can. So driving those commodity spend items down as fast as I can, and indeed even being able to harvest some of the cost savings that I get from driving the commodity investments down, are able to really fund some of the investments that I'm trying to make in Agile and other areas of my organization. The test and learn is also something that a lot of people are really turning to as a return on investment feature of Agile. And that has to do with the fact, again, I'm not spending all of the money for all of the bells and whistles. I'm actually having a lower cost of failed features. So I'm not spending a lot of money to then test. I am testing with a minimum viable capability. If it doesn't work, then I haven't spent a lot to do that testing. So many organizations are harvesting the commodity-based capabilities to fund any investments that they need in agility. And don't underestimate the help of your partners in this, by the way. Partners, of course, today, service providers within our environments, bring a lot of these capabilities to the table just as a matter of fact. They bring in things like automation, particularly into your operating environment, and particularly for those digital backbone and commodity areas. And don't underestimate the cost of savings that are related to an employee experience. Studies have shown that an Agile IT organization retains our employees at a much higher rate than organizations that don't embrace Agile techniques. So there is a cost benefit of a product-aligned agility, even though you may have to spend for things like tools or training or getting your organization up to speed. But don't underestimate the help of your partners to be able to get you there, because they, after all, have that knowledge and that experience of being able to drive things like automation into your environment. The other thing to keep in mind is that we need to automate our approaches to delivery. And as we're doing those things, we need to optimize our cost in an Agile-oriented way. And so very much like we're doing within product teams, as we're looking across our organizations for those areas to optimize cost or to create some savings, part of what we need to do is approach that itself in an agile way. And part of that has to do with generating ideas around cost savings. And that's not just about lowering the cost of what may be in my environment today. There's a lot of opportunity today of, again, commodity areas. We've also got some book value areas and maybe some opportunities to monetize assets or capabilities in the marketplace that maybe weren't there previously. Desk trial your hypotheses. Sit down and have a group of people come together and what if the situation. If you have a hypothesis and you really want to take a test drive at them, the first thing to do is to have a group of really smart people sit around and determine if those really could potentially generate some savings for you. And then just like we do in Agile when we're creating new feature functionality, use a minimum viable approach. Look, you don't have to go out and optimize cost around the entire environment. You can pick a very small portion of your environment to test that approach. That minimum viable approach, you could think of it as a pilot, a proof of concept. You want to fail fast or learn fast. The great thing is that as you're exploring that minimum viable approach, you're liable to make it far more useful in your environment because you're going to make it better as you are doing that in a much smaller scale. Once you've determined that you do have proven savings or proven efficiencies that you can gain, now's the time to begin to scale and expand. But don't forget that as you're expanding, to continue to drive an iterative approach, to continue to obtain feedback and continue to improve your mechanism for that savings. So one of our key tenets when we're thinking about Agile is that we are continually getting the feedback and recognizing that we're never perfect, and we always want to continue to drive this continuous learning and continuous improvement that's happening. The same is true when you're driving cost savings and optimizing savings within your environment. So use an Agile approach even when you're looking to drive those savings. So create a savings idea engine is something that a lot of organizations are doing. They're using, looking at obviously at high cost areas to see if let's create some ideation around how we might be able to solve for those. Look at those commodity areas that I might have a better delivery model that will just frankly get me some quick savings pretty rapidly. And then look at those areas where you have a lot of book value that today, unlike previously, even just months previously, you might not have had monetization opportunities, but you do today. Look to drive value early. Look, it's just like Agile. And one of Agile's key benefits is that it drives value early. Here is the same way with cost optimization. We want to drive savings early. And if we do that in a very small way, we're still driving those savings early. And then you want to scale and continue to reap that benefit over time. So use Agile even as you're establishing your cost optimization programs. When you think about the Agile way of working and how you might want to take certain areas of your business and recognize that speed to market and working in an Agile manner is an important thing, and either you're already doing it or you want to scale what you're doing today, be sure to leverage your service providers. Your service providers in your environment today have a lot of experience. They have tools. They have capabilities that you can leverage. Look, you only need to apply full Agile and DevOps practices where you really need it. And that's where you need the iteration, you need the deployment speed. If you're not going to deploy in a speedy manner and you're not going to make changes to your environment really rapidly, then working in a very agile way, such as DevOps, may not be the right approach for you. You can still use some of the tenets and you can still use some of the practices. You just may not need to put in all the automation, some of the more higher priced tools. Give savings objectives to product teams. This is a really big one that we see happening within product-aligned organizations, is to actually give savings objectives to your teams. One of the things that your business and your technology members within those teams will do is work together to solve for that savings objective and that optimization. Incentivize ideas and innovation. This is happening in a lot of organizations. And if you're truly using scaled Agile tenets, what you'll also see is that what one team learns to do and innovates on and creates savings around is applicable to many other teams. So be sure that you're sharing that and promoting those ideas, communicating what's happening so that the teams themselves become your scale engine. They're the ones who actually pick up the ideas from their peers, begin to put those same ideas into practice in their own teams. And then, of course, what we were talking about earlier, optimize iteratively. Start with areas of relatively high spend, but don't forget that you've got some commoditized solutions that really managed service providers may be the perfect alternative for you to be able to drive savings, drive capability, modernize those environments, and do it frankly at a cheaper price than what you might be doing it today. Also look at areas where you can tolerate lower performance or slower delivery. It's sort of what we say in enterprise agility, not everything needs to go at the same speed. I don't need a speed of throughput everywhere. Look across your organization, look across those capabilities and find those areas where potentially a lower performance or a slower delivery won't impact you too much, because that's obviously a cost optimization potential there. You've also got asset areas that are potential to monetize. Now, we've seen a lot of these happening in things like captives. We've also seen these in places like data centers, some big compute environments, even infrastructure environments that some service providers and organizations might be willing to take over for you, monetize those assets, give you a bit of cash infusion for a period of time taking over those services. Another big one that a lot of people really miss is rapid automation. Look, the ability to use automation in your environment obviously will drive things to be done more quickly. But don't underestimate the fact that if you're automating, that you can then take the individuals who you've automated some of their tasks and use them for a much higher value things within your environments. think big, start small, and scale fast. It continues to be our thinking, even within cost optimization. I need to think big. I need to think about the big savings that needs to happen. But what I don't want to do is wait to achieve those savings by creating the perfect program for it. Get your teams involved, get smaller groups involved so that you can go out and really identify those areas that might have achieved some savings for you. And the little things do have a tendency to add up into big things over time. You want to scale them very quickly when you find them, and so finding them becomes the most important thing to do. If you can really find those things and achieve them, the more quickly you do that, the faster the savings that you're going to see within your environment. So is it really expensive to put Agile in your environment? Well, look, Agile actually optimizes cost through its return on investment. All of the things that we chatted about, it's got a relatively high return on investment. However, it's not needed everywhere. And so you should really consider where within your environment the speed to market that you're looking for within your capabilities are really worthwhile, or worth that return. And so while there are a lot of benefits of Agile, there is a cost to Agile. And so you need to be looking at where those investments need to be made, and only make them where they're really needed. Leverage investments that were already made where possible. Lots of organizations may not even recognize that they have pockets of capability that have already been achieved, and that a lot of it's just scaling that capability, leveraging someone's knowledge. And don't forget, again, your service providers. Your service providers, if they're in your environment today, are quite likely using a lot of these tools, a lot of these capabilities. Leverage their environments and their knowledge and their experience so that you can basically gain that experience, and that will help you as well. Apply an Agile approach to your cost optimization program overall. Again, this is about reaping earlier benefits. It's about testing out your hypothesis before you attempt to roll something out really, really huge and maybe not get the savings that you're intending to get. The other thing to remember when you're going through a cost optimization program overall is that you may have a size of the prize that would dictate to you that one particular area is more important than another. But don't ever forget that the return on that benefit, and reaping that earlier may actually mean more to you and end up being larger cost savings over time than even that potentially larger spend is. And that's really about determining whether or not that large spend that you think you can address, how long is it going to take for you to get to that optimization? If I can optimize relatively quickly, and I can optimize maybe in a scaled manner, so I start small and I allow that to scale across multiple components of my environment, at the end of the day, I may actually end up with much larger savings overall, even than that large amount of spend would have initially predicted. Engage your teams in the objective. One of the things that we do within Agile Enterprise at any rate is to share what we've learned amongst our peers and other teams. And we do that because we recognize that one idea can often be applicable in multiple environments. So be sure that you engage your teams in the objectives, both in helping you to ideate around what might be a good savings opportunity, but also so that they recognize that there's an objective that you're trying to reach. Get them engaged in that objective, and indeed make it their objective. And they'll also pay more attention to what their peers and other teams might be doing, and be able to leverage those capabilities within the community. Look, the community is really good as well, not just about solving, but also about scaling. So they may see an opportunity that you've thought of in a very small area, and they may actually just ideate beyond the area. So maybe I have some small piece of automation that will really help me in one particular component of my operation. If we give this to the teams, make sure the teams recognize what it is we're trying to achieve, they indeed may be able to see where that particular capability or automation could be applied far beyond that original component, and applied more broadly within your environment, and of course generate even more savings for you. So it's important to get the community involved. They can often help you solve some of the things that you need to do, help you scale what you do find. Take those hypotheses, be sure that you use an Agile approach to your cost optimization program overall, as well as recognizing that it does actually provide benefit for you to spend some money on being able to do things like automating your environment, obtain data so that you can make the right decisions and get speed to value much more quickly within Agile. The most important thing I would leave you with, as we do with most things in enterprise agility, is just start. Look, we can make these really large, tremendous programs that take a long time to really assess and try to figure out what we're going to do to achieve a very large amount of savings. But don't underestimate what teams can do if you give them a part of the challenge, if you get them engaged, and if you start really small and scale it over time. So the think big, start small, scale fast applies within cost optimization, just like it does in the rest of agility. Thanks for your time today, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference.